In the previous episode, Alaric transformed into an original vampire hunter, with Elena's life tied to his. To kill Alaric, Klaus kidnapped Elena and planned to drain her blood. In the end, Bonnie used a desiccation spell to seal Klaus away. Mystic Falls has been under Klaus's control for so long, and now they have finally broken free and can return to their old lives. As everyone prepares to raise a glass, Tyler suddenly becomes serious.
Do you guys hear that? That is the sound of a Klaus-free life.
To a Klaus-free life. Cheers!
After nightfall, Alaric doesn't rush to confront Damon and the others. Instead, he gathers the council and publicly exposes Sheriff Forbes and Mayor Lockwood's secret. They are protectors of vampires. Alaric shows his power without hesitation. Meanwhile, the Salvatore brothers are preparing to give Klaus a sea burial. Without Klaus's body, Alaric cannot truly kill him. As they travel, the Salvatore brothers encourage each other. Having once again overcome a powerful enemy, Elena is an unavoidable topic, but this time the brothers do not argue as they usually do. No matter which one of them Elena ultimately chooses, the other will willingly leave the town.
She's a pretty special girl. Yes, she is.
Distracted, Elena cannot sleep, so she plans to relax with some labor. Suddenly, she experiences a splitting headache and faints. Unconscious, Elena is taken to the hospital by Jeremy. Dr. Fell diagnoses her with a mild concussion and says she has been treated. However, when Jeremy asks for specifics, Fell's words are evasive. The Salvatore brothers receive Jeremy's notification, and Damon scolds Jeremy for his foolishness. He points out that any vampire could have treated her, and the hospital is not safe. They insist Jeremy should quickly take Elena home. After hanging up, Damon is still frustrated. Damon is subtly criticizing Jeremy. Both brothers are concerned about Elena's safety, but Klaus's body must be hidden, so only one of them can return. At this moment, whoever stays with Elena has a greater chance of winning her feelings. Damon said helplessly,
"Our life is one big proverbial coin toss."
Just as the Salvatore brothers suspected, Alaric indeed comes to the hospital, but Jeremy has already moved his sister. Alaric then vents his anger on Fell. He knows that Fell's remarkable medical skills rely on vampire blood, so Alaric destroys the stock of vampire blood and reports Fell, revoking her medical license. Now the town is under Alaric's control. Carol and Sheriff Forbes have both been fired by him. To protect their children, the two mothers want Tyler and Caroline to leave town. After Elena returns home, Stefan arrives shortly afterward. It seems Damon has given the opportunity to his brother. Jeremy went to the bar to pick up his food, but he was blocked by Alaric. Jeremy was on high alert. However, Alaric does not cause trouble. He tries to persuade Jeremy, bluntly stating that Elena's entanglement with vampires only puts her in danger. If Jeremy is willing to help him, he promises to eliminate all the vampires. This might cause Elena temporary pain, but it would allow her to return to a normal life for the rest of her days. Jeremy was naturally not stupid. What if Alaric chose to die with Elena after getting rid of all the vampires? Alaric speaks sincerely, assuring Jeremy that once he completes his mission, he would willingly let Bonnie seal him away.
Let Elena live a long, healthy, human life. And when her life is over, mine will be too.
Jeremy was impressed by Alaric's proposal. Meanwhile, Elijah, who has been missing for a while, returns to Mystic Falls. He hopes that Elena and the others will return Klaus's body, promising that the Michelson family will scatter to the ends of the earth. Alaric has only a human lifetime to hunt them down. While a few decades of fleeing is nothing but a blink of an eye to them, Elena's biggest concern is that once Klaus is revived, he will immediately come seeking revenge. But Elijah assures her otherwise. Elijah is trustworthy, and besides, if he truly wanted to eliminate Alaric, he could have killed Elena right now. Damon's objections come through the phone, but Damon is still outside, so his objections hold no weight. Stefan, unlike Damon, expresses that he will support Elena's decision. Elena has one last question.
Why do you want Klaus's body?
He's my brother. We remain together.
Even though Klaus has broken his heart, Elijah still deeply loves this brother. Elena agrees to the deal. After Jeremy returned, he confided in Matt about his feelings, expressing his desire to take his sister away. This aligned perfectly with Matt's own thoughts, so they start to plot their little scheme.
I have no idea where Klaus's body is.
As expected, it isn't long before Jeremy takes the initiative to contact Alaric and reveals Damon's whereabouts. To make Jeremy feel better, Alaric comforts him, saying he is saving his sister from a life of suffering. Unbeknownst to Alaric, the address Jeremy provided is fake, and they've set a trap waiting for him.
He bought it.
Meanwhile, Damon hides Klaus's body in a warehouse. There are thousands of warehouses, and only Damon knows the number of the right one. Bonnie requests to be alone with Klaus under the guise of casting a concealment spell, and Damon does not suspect anything. Damon is unaware that Bonnie also has her own plans to protect her family and friends. Stefan and the others prepare to ambush Alaric. This battle is incredibly dangerous, and Stefan doesn't want to leave any regrets, so he boldly kisses Elena.
That's just in case there is no later.
Damon leisurely guards the warehouse. Suddenly, he hears the elevator come. He thinks it's his companion coming. It turned out to be Alaric. Alaric controls the law enforcement agencies in the town. Under the overwhelming search, he found traces of Damon.
There's only about 1,000 of them. Have at it.
After knocking Damon unconscious, Alaric begins to search through the warehouses one by one. Just then, Rebecca arrives. Alaric's murderous intent arises, and he pulls out a white oak stake, preparing to ambush Rebecca. Rebecca doesn't realize that she is in danger and getting closer and closer to death. Fortunately, the awakened Damon intervenes to save Rebecca. The place was like a maze, and Alaric turned around to find himself in front of warehouse 1020, where Klaus's body was hidden. However, when Alaric opened the warehouse, he was met with nothing. Rebecca and Damon had already moved the coffin, but they were intercepted by Alaric. Neither Rebecca nor Damon was a match for him. Klaus's body lay in the coffin, his eyes wide open in fury as Alaric plunged the white oak stake into his heart. Rebecca cried out and rushed forward, but Damon held her back tightly. Klaus's body began to self-ignite, but the white oak stake showed no signs of damage. After pulling out the stake, Alaric closed the coffin. With the coffin sealed, the lack of oxygen would certainly affect the burning. Meanwhile, Matt stayed behind to accompany Elena, curious about whom she would ultimately choose. Elena candidly confessed that the first person she met was Stefan, and that night he saved her life. He was both gentle and gave her a sense of security. Yet when she was with Damon, his life was full of passion, and he fascinated her. Elena suddenly felt lightheaded. She recalled the night her adoptive parents had their accident. She had gone out to a party, and at that time, Matt was still Elena's boyfriend, but their relationship was facing a crisis. Elena had complained to her adoptive mother over the phone, saying that Matt always talked about marriage and having kids, but that wasn't the life she wanted. Elena claimed she didn't know what she wanted, but deep down, she already had the answer. She was just waiting for a man who understood her. Her adoptive parents planned to come pick her up. When Elena woke up, she found herself taken away from the town by Matt. It turned out Matt had drugged the tea Elena drank. He and Jeremy's plan was to keep Elena away from the vampire troubles. Because Alaric went to hunt Rebecca, Damon had the time to inform his brother about Klaus's death. A shadow loomed over both brothers. If they were truly of Klaus's bloodline, they would surely die within an hour. Damon wanted Stefan to say goodbye to Elena for him. After they hung up, Jeremy nervously told Stefan that Elena was not home and that he had entrusted Matt to take her away. Stefan fell into a long silence, trying to comfort himself.
It's gonna be fine. Klaus was lying. We're all gonna be okay.
Elijah and Caroline also arrived. They had wanted to lure Alaric here to trap him, but they had been tricked by Alaric. Upon hearing the news of Klaus's death, Caroline immediately went to find Tyler. Others might be uncertain, but Tyler was definitely in danger. When Caroline arrived at the cellar, she couldn't find Tyler. Caroline cried bitterly. Before long, Tyler rushed in, and they embraced excitedly. Caroline sobbed as she revealed the news of Klaus's death. After a long silence, Tyler confidently reassured her that she would be fine, but Caroline was worried about him. Tyler's tone of voice as he comforted Caroline felt familiar. Suddenly, Tyler felt a sharp pain in his chest, and he uncontrollably transformed, while Caroline remained unharmed. Could it be that neither the Salvatore brothers nor Caroline were from Klaus's bloodline? Caroline wanted to stay with Tyler, but he angrily shouted for her to leave. Klaus's death caused Rebecca pain, but Elijah had two questions. First, aside from Tyler, why had the other hybrids survived? Second, regarding the Salvatore brothers' bloodline, since they were neither Elijah's nor Rebecca and Cole's, there could only be one truth. Klaus was not truly dead.
I know you're here.
I must say you really did that spell brilliantly.
It turned out Bonnie had used a switching spell to allow Klaus to take over Tyler. That's why Tyler's tone was so much like Klaus when he was comforting Caroline, and he was confident that nothing would happen to her because Tyler was, in essence, Klaus. Klaus's fake death presented Elena with a difficult choice. Stefan was in town, while Damon was miles away. They each had only an hour to live, and Elena could only choose to be with one of them. Elena had to make a choice. When Damon received Elena's call, it indicated that she had made her decision. Damon joked that the Grim Reaper hadn't come to visit him yet, but he eventually asked the most sensitive question: where was Elena now? In the end, Damon asked the question he had been most eager to know. He asked Elena, if it were just the two of them, who would she choose to spend her last moments with?
I love him, David.
It's always gonna be.
I mean, maybe if you and I had met first.
Maybe.
Elena fell silent on the phone for a long time. It's Elena's fault for meeting Stefan first. Damon's expression turned sorrowful. At that moment, Alaric returned. He hadn't intercepted Rebecca and intended to take his anger out on Damon. Alaric's last shred of humanity was to give them time to say goodbye. Meanwhile, upon learning that Elena was heading back to town, Stefan rushed to meet her. On the way, however, he received a call from Rebecca. Though they hadn't saved Klaus, Elijah still kept his promise, but Rebecca refused to comply. She was tired of the life on the run. Killing Elena would eliminate Alaric, so why should she flee? At that moment, Elena and Matt were about to cross a bridge when Rebecca blocked their path. Matt swerved the steering wheel, sending both him and the car plunging into the river. On the same bridge, in the same river, a dazed Elena seemed to see the image of her adoptive parents drowning. Meanwhile, Damon was being brutally beaten by Alaric. His heart was shattered, so he didn't fight back. As death approached, Damon found a strange sense of calm. He recalled a long-buried secret. Years ago, he had been deeply in love with Catherine, and he and his brother Stefan were at odds. That night, he lay on the ground, bored, and heard a girl's voice. It was Elena. Damon had mistaken her for Catherine.
I'm Elena.
He told her she resembled someone from his past. Initially, Elena was wary, but Damon's charm eased her fears. Having just fought with Matt, Elena shared her troubles with Damon, admitting she didn't know what kind of life she wanted. Damon claimed he could see into people's hearts. I know what you want.
So, Damon, tell me, what is it that I want?
You want a love that consumes you. You want passion and adventure and even a little danger.
Elena's beautiful eyes sparkled. This man actually understood her. She then asked Damon what he wanted. Damon was momentarily speechless, but before he could respond, a horn sounded from behind.
I want you to get everything you're looking for. But right now, I want you to forget that this happened. Can't have people knowing I'm in town yet. Good night, Elena.
It was Elena's adoptive parents come to pick her up. Damon didn't want his brother to know about his arrival, so he erased Elena's memory. What happened next was well known. Elena's family fell into the water while crossing the bridge, and Stefan heroically saved her. It turned out that Damon had encountered Elena first. Returning from the memory, Damon reignited his fighting spirit. Not only did he withstand Alaric's lethal blow, but he also counterattacked. Matt lost consciousness, and when Elena tried to break the car window, it was futile, just like when her adoptive father had tried to save her. At that moment, Stefan arrived. Elena signaled him to save Matt first, just as her adoptive father had once urged him to save her. Stefan couldn't refuse Elena. After all, time was of the essence. He had no choice but to rescue Matt first. If it had been Damon, he wouldn't care how Elena chose. Even if Matt's death would make Elena feel guilty and hate herself, he would have unhesitatingly saved Elena. Alaric's life was connected to Elena, and Damon immediately realized something had happened to her. Jeremy was filled with fear at Alaric's sudden appearance. He couldn't understand how Alaric had gotten in, but saw Alaric's face full of tenderness.
Just wanted to say goodbye and it kind of happened.
Jeremy quickly realized this was Alaric's spirit. But if Alaric was dead, didn't that mean something had happened to his sister as well? In the morgue, Stefan stood by Elena's lifeless body, feeling an overwhelming sense of guilt. If he could do it all over again, he would still respect Elena's decision. Damon stormed in angrily, and Fell hurriedly stopped him, mumbling some incoherent words. At that moment, Elena wasn't just concussed, she had a brain hemorrhage, so she had to make the decision to use that.
You what?
Fel used Damon's blood to treat Elena, inadvertently saving her life. Because Elena had vampire blood in her system, she entered the transformation phase after death. If she didn't drink human blood, she would definitely die within a day. Elena couldn't accept this. Stefan hurried to comfort her, suggesting maybe Bonnie had a solution. After all, there was still a day left. But Damon insisted that Elena drink blood to complete the transformation. The brothers thus had a disagreement.
There is no way out of it. We all know the drill. You feed or you die. There is no door number 3.
I was ready to die. I was supposed to die. I don't want to be. I can't be a vampire.
Elena placed all her hope in Bonnie. Damon was speechless. After calming Elena down, Stefan went to confront his brother. Damon, however, held a grudge against him for not saving Elena right away. In the transition stage, Elena's senses were heightened, and even the faintest sounds exploded in her ears, driving her to frustration. Her brother Jeremy came to visit her, not wanting to see his sister become a vampire. After Jeremy left, a frustrated Elena crushed a light bulb with her hand. The transformation process amplified her personality and emotions. At the same time, Klaus's body, although burned to a coke, was preserved. Bonnie was very unhappy to see that Klaus was still in Tyler's body. They had an agreement: once Klaus survived this ordeal, he would return Tyler's body and take over someone else's. Klaus had changed his mind because his body hadn't turned to ashes. Klaus wanted to return to his own body, and he resorted to using force to pressure Bonnie. But Bonnie insisted she had to focus on saving Elena. Furthermore, if Elena became human again, it would also be beneficial for Klaus, so he reluctantly agreed. Although Alaric was dead, he had restructured the council before his death and revealed the identities of the vampires. Now the council was under Pastor Young's control, and he was preparing to hunt down the vampires. Caroline was getting ready to lay low after a warning from her mother, but just as she stepped outside, she was captured. Dark currents were stirring in the town, yet the Salvatore brothers were completely unaware. Stefan stayed by Elena's side as she adapted to the transformation. All food tasted bland to her, and Elena increasingly struggled to suppress her thirst for blood. Unable to stop herself from laughing uncontrollably, Elena wanted some quiet time alone, but when she reached her bedroom door, she found Damon sitting quietly on the windowsill.
Cute PJs.
Elena is confused. She's not wearing any pajamas. To her surprise, another voice echoed from the room, and it was also Elena. This scene was a memory Elena had previously erased, and now, in the transformation phase, those memories were flooding back. Elena felt like an observer watching Damon confess to her former self. The images in Damon's words left Elena utterly shocked, and she stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Damon's tears seemed to drop straight into Elena's heart, filling her with mixed emotions. But at this moment, she had already chosen Stefan. While Rebecca was sorting through her brother's belongings, Damon suddenly showed up seeking revenge. The white oak stake fell into his hands, but Rebecca, being one of the originals, was not someone Damon, a century-old vampire, could easily challenge. Damon's reckless behavior stemmed from his romantic failures. Whenever Elena rejected him, he spiraled into self-destructive behavior. Unexpectedly, the council had set an ambush. Rebecca was shot multiple times and then pierced through the heart with an arrow, while Damon seized the chance to escape. Meanwhile, the council also arrested Stefan. Klaus, who had taken over Tyler's body, was hiding in the basement. Just then, Carol called. Klaus cursed under his breath, but once the call connected, he had to play the dutiful son. Upon learning that Caroline had been captured, Klaus couldn't sit idly by, so he took extreme measures and hijacked the prisoner transport. However, the transport contained not only Caroline but also his sister Rebecca. Seeing Tyler alive again brought Caroline to tears of joy. Reinforcements from the council were on their way, but Tyler's body was too weak, so Klaus could only save one person. Did he even need to choose? Rebecca immediately saw through the truth, but her brother had abandoned her for the woman he loved, leaving her uncertain whether to feel happy or sad.